We've all had off days. Usually a bad day at the What Culture office means finding boogers in the studio or losing a pool tournament or, actually having to work. But the stakes are considerably higher for film heroes. When one of those guys is tasked with saving someone's life or humanity itself, screw-ups become a little more costly. That is, depending on how attached you are to living. Occasionally, the odd villainous plot will slip through our champion's fingers, which means people end up getting pretty boned. With CGI and cheap dynamite hire freeing up filmmakers to show realistic city-destroying carnage on a level with my burning inner rage, it seems like heroes are getting worse at their jobs. But I guess New York has been smashed up enough times now to know what it's doing. So grab your cape and ready the batarang, as I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are 10 movie heroes that really sucked at saving people. 10. Cliffhanger. Gabe lets Sarah slip through his fingers. When Sylvester Stallone portrays a hero, that hero always gets the job done with a gruff demeanour and some top-notch grumbling. However, there's one glaring exception to this rule: intrepid mountaineer Gabe Walker. Gabe is a rescue ranger who isn't too great at the rescue part. Unlike Rambo, the innocent might not feel so safe when he shows up to take care of business. In Cliffhanger, two of Gabe's close friends find themselves stranded on a perilous mountain peak, which should be routine rescue for the mountain ranger. Gabe choppers in and has the duo cross from the mountain to the chopper using a steel line suspended above a huge chasm, which is, yes, a recipe for disaster. It's about then that Murphy's Law kicks in. One of the climbers harnesses break and Gabe fails miserably at doing his goddamn job while his rescuee falls to her death whilst her boyfriend watches on in horror. Jeez, Gabe, get a grip. Ha! 9. Man of Steel. Superman levels Metropolis. Humanity asks a lot of Superman. We expect him to fly in, take care of business, and do so with a minimum of collateral damage, which I guess is not the easiest of tasks when he has to throw down with other superpowered beings. Man of Steel showed audiences how Superman got his start in saving humanity, and apparently there's a huge learning curve involved with his high-powered pecs. Superman starts out strong, saving everyone from a world-ending device that threatens to destroy all of us puny humans. However, in the climax of the movie, Superman begins to make some rookie mistakes that cost a lot of innocent lives. When Zod takes offense to Superman busting up his world engine and the duo duke it out in the middle of downtown Metropolis, to be precise. Instead of taking the fight to the sky, where they both can fly to, or jaunting off to a less populated area, Superman opts to keep the fight right in the middle of the city. Just bang on in the middle. This decision leaves Metropolis a wasteland, costing millions in property damage and killing thousands of innocent bystanders, but hey, it looked cool, right? 8. Vertical Limit. Peter kills way more people than he saves. 2000's rock-climbing adventure film Vertical Limit contains a mountaineer hero so terrible at his job he makes Cliffhanger's Gabe Walker look downright competent. Ooh, zap. Peter Garrett is a walking, talking typhoon of failure that ruins everything he touches. When Peter's sister finds herself and two other mountaineers trapped in a crevasse on the deadly mountain K2, he takes it upon himself to mount a rescue party. He might as well have not bothered. The results are an unmitigated disaster for everybody concerned. Peter enlists the help of incompetent mountaineers to help him cart highly volatile nitroglycerin up K2 to blow the crevasse and free his sister. To the surprise of no one, the nitro blows up a couple of the volunteers, causing an avalanche. Peter adds to his plethora of fail by recruiting a mountaineer with a grudge who, unsurprisingly, kills the object of his vendetta during the escape too. Good job, good rescue. Everyone alive? No? Just make another avalanche and cover it up, it'll be fine. 7. Die Hard 2. McClane fumbles the touchdown. In Die Hard, John McClane saves a group of hostages from a gang of international super thieves using nothing more than his pluck and grit. Ah, what a wholesome Christmas tale. In the sequel, McClane must rescue an entire airport from evil mercenaries, but the results are a lot more varied. As a show of power, the evil Colonel Stewart hacks into the air traffic control system at Washington's Dulles International Airport. He sets a plane on a crash course with the tarmac, and it's up to McClane to warn the pilot about the impending collision. The blue-collar hero is clearly out of his depth though. He scrambles to come up with a plan to save the passengers, setting on a solution that is sort of half-arsed. McClane attempts to get the pilot's attention by waving a pair of makeshift torches on the runway. McClane's heart might have been in the right place, but his plan is a spectacular failure as the plane crashes, causing 230 passengers to die a horrific, fiery death. Half gold star. You tried. 6. Mad Max. Max is late to the party. Maintaining law and order in a crumbling society is no easy task, and in 1979's Mad Max, Mel Gibson proves as much spectacularly. After his closest friend dies horrifically in the line of duty, Max decides to call it quits and relocates his family to the country where they can live in peace. This turns out to be a terrible call. The Rokitansky clan barely has a chance to settle in before they bring down the wrath of an unruly cycle gang led by the evil Toe Cutter. When Max takes off to run some errands, Toe Cutter's hooligans descend on his homestead. Max finds out his family is in peril and races to save the day, but totally misses the boat, and his family are run down in the street moments before Max arrives. Say what you will about Max's inability to protect the ones he cares about the most, but he's damn good at getting revenge. Which doesn't bring anyone back to life, and he's still a terrible hero, but still, it's a good watch. 5. The Dark Knight. Batman misses the deadline. In Batman Begins, the Caped Crusader proves his life-saving abilities by rescuing Gotham from a microwave emitter that threatens to destroy the city. But in The Dark Knight, Batman starts making some major slip-ups. To be fair to him though, there is a huge step up in competition Batman has to face. The anarchistic supervillain, the Joker. The Joker one-ups Batman through the entire film, blowing up Batman's love interest and disfiguring his pal Harvey Dent. However, Bat's biggest foul-up occurs in the climax. The Joker rigs 2 ferries to explode and gives the passengers an ultimatum. They can choose to blow up one of the ferries before midnight, or else both ships will go up in smoke. Batman swoops in to save the day, only to have Joker thoroughly whoop him as the clock runs out. Luckily, the innate goodness of the Gothamites prevents them from triggering the detonators, because Batman sure as hell didn't. 4. Skyfall. Bond misses the mark. Over the course of 23 films, super spy James Bond has thwarted every kind of villainous plot imaginable. No matter what the odds, Bond always seems to come out on top, though Skyfall sought to portray Bond in a different light. Instead of a hyper-competent secret agent with luck on his side, Bond transformed into a chronic bungler who always lets people die on his watch. Bond manages to trip over the first hurdle the film throws at him, letting a hard drive with the identities of NATO undercover agents slip into enemy hands. And then after a lengthy hiatus, Bond gets drawn back into action, ready to return to top people-saving form. Except, well, he just doesn't, does he? Bond then flunks his next hero assignment. A former MI6 agent, Raoul Silva, decides to exact revenge on Bond's boss, M. So the Big B decides to make a last stand at his family's country estate. Turns out that master plan didn't work, as M still bites the dust, and it's all just a bit of a Home Alone ripoff. Oh well. 3. Transformers Dark of the Moon. Optimus Prime doesn't care about human people. This time, the giant robot smackdown that is Transformers happens in the middle of Chicago. Before the dust settles, the great city lies in ruins and thousands of innocent people are dead. A big part of the blame for the Decepticons' destruction of Chicago can be put onto the shoulders of the ostensible good guy, Optimus Prime. Before the battle begins, Prime has the Autobots fake their death in a Decepticon ambush to prove to humanity that the Decepticons aren't trustworthy. Because of this gambit, the Autobots are missing in action when the carnage starts, which gives the Decepticons ample time to wreak havoc freely. For a guy who likes to pontificate ad nauseum about how humanity is worth protecting, Prime seems more than willing to let a bunch of innocent people get caught up in the crossfire to prove his point. 2. The Shining. Halloran strikes out. One of the most hilarious examples of a rescue mission exploding on the launch pad here. In Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, the dysfunctional Torrance family finds itself snowbound in the secluded and haunted Overlook Hotel. The ghostly inhabitants drive family patriarch Jack Torrance mad, and the gonzo pappy decides chopping his family into kindling would be a good idea. Thankfully, Jack's son Danny possesses psychic powers, which he uses to call in the cavalry. Too bad the cavalry happens to be the Overlook's kindly head chef, Dick Halloran. It turns out a geriatric chef was a bad choice for a saviour, as Halloran heroically braves a blizzard to reach the stranded family, and sadly, he barely makes it in the front door before taking an axe to the sternum. Poor Halloran. No stars for you. 1. G.I. Joe Retaliation. Roadblock lets London get exploded. The cinematic incarnation of Hasbro's G.I. Joe toy line possesses a terrible record for coming through when it matters most. In their first live-action feature film, the Joes allowed the Eiffel Tower to be completely destroyed, but this is just a prelude to the staggering level of heroic ineptitude on display in the sequel, G.I. Joe Retaliation. In the feature, the Joes uncover a Cobra plot to launch a deadly weapon of mass destruction dubbed Project Zeus. The Joe's heroic captain Roadblock leads them in a race against time to stop Cobra from activating Project Zeus, but unfortunately, Cobra manages to strike London and its population of over 8 million people. The Joes let Cobra incinerate them all in the blink of an eye in what has to constitute the most jaw-dropping example of heroic incompetence in cinematic history. Ouch.